bit more than a judder. But again, it's one of those unknowns, isn't it? Probably never be knowns.
What's your next project then?
I'm writing a book called The Falsification of Science, would you believe? Which is like a companion to The Falsification of History.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I've started the research for it, but I've not started the actual writing of it yet. But hopefully by this time next year we should be moving on that.
Excellent. I'll bring my husband who's a science teacher next time.
Oh really? Unless we've got the financial expert and the science teacher. Oh, better be on me best behaviour then. Any other questions, folks?
Matt, just something of interest, John, really. I don't know if it is or not, but I'll just throw it out to you. A number of years ago, in my previous incarnation, when I had a proper job, I
know the feeling.
I used to travel up and down the country, and one of those places used to be the northeast.
Yes.
And I had reason to visit a company called Axo Nobel up there near Hexham.
Right.
And they were the kind of paint manufacturing arm of this huge chemical kind of global giant. And I was waiting in reception, and I just happened to notice some panelling in the reception, some wood panelling, looked very nice. And when the guy came out who was meeting, I said, I love this like wood, because it was a bit out of place really. I said, I love this wood panelling. He says, it came from the Olympic. Yeah. So it'd be very interesting if it's still there, whether there's any identifying marks on that panelling.
Funny you should mention that. You know what? About last month, Linda, my wife, and I, we were up in Northumberland, and we went in this, what the name of that place?
The White Star Inn, or the White,
The White Star Inn,
Hotel.
but what was the name of the place?
In Alnwick.
In Alnwick, in
Right.
Northumberland, right?
Yeah.
And they have a room that is exactly the same as you say. It's got all the wood panelling from the Olympic, because the Olympic was scrapped in the northeast.
Yeah.
Right? Now, allegedly, that I wasn't aware of your one, but I'd read about the White Star Inn in Alnwick before, and allegedly every single piece of wood is stamped with the ship's identifying number. Like Olympic was 400, Titanic was 401. Now, allegedly, all that wood panelling in the White Star Inn is stamped 400, which is Olympic, which would tend to disprove what you've just seen. Okay, but I don't believe that every single piece of wood on every ship was marked with the ship's build number. I just think that is deliberate deception, because just imagine that any sensible business would want parts to be interchangeable. You don't want to have to think, we've run out of one stamp, we've run out of a piece of 4x2 stamped 401. We're next to use one. Well, we've only got 400. Oh, damn, well, we can't use them because it's got the wrong number on it. I just don't believe that nonsense about every single piece being stamped with the ship number, and I just think that's part of the official discreditation, or the official story. So, I'd love to peel some of them pieces of wood off that wall and have a look, see whether it's all stamped 400. But allegedly it is, but I don't believe it.
Might be worth a visit.
Do you know one of the
Wouldn't it
things
pick
I'm
up?
When are we all
finding
going to
quite...
pull a panel off? Organise a coach trip.
I was finding quite shocking was the fact that that the First World War was being kind of thought about and planned all them years in advance.
Now we're getting into deep waters now.
I know, that's right. It's absolutely
How long have you got? I mean, this could run and run, this one. No, just think what I said right at the beginning about history not being what you think it is. Okay. Yeah. History is not at all what you believe it to be. There's been an ongoing plan for civilization that's been going on for hundreds of years. Okay. And every single step, every single baby step, every single move forward from the past into the future is meticulously planned, believe me. It's absolutely meticulously planned. They knew what they were doing. Why did they plan World War II 20 years in advance? Because what is the biggest money maker ever in the history of the world? War. Right? People make millions, billions out of war. So all the big financial, again it's a conspiracy theory this, because it's about rich people conspiring together to come to something that is going to enhance their massive fortunes, their already massive fortunes. But it was planned from a long time ago, and the only reason I kept going on about the Federal Reserve being an integral part of that. And strangely enough, the World War I started the year after the Federal Reserve was formed, was because of the way, and again I'm getting into really deep water here, and this is a whole different discussion, but I'll try my best to sort of put it in a few sound bites, is that it's the central banking system in collusion with the high street banks creates money out of thin air. Okay, that's not up for question. That is an actual fact. If you go and borrow, this lady will tell you, if you go to a bank to borrow money for a mortgage, say you want to borrow £100,000, where do they get that £100,000 from? They don't take that £100,000 out of this account and put it in your account. They just key that number into a computer. Or in the olden days, they used to write it in a ledger in big copper plate writing. Okay, so that money is created out of thin air. And it's the central bank, which the Federal Reserve is one, that is responsible for that kind of activity. And it's the creation of the Federal Reserve to enable them to create money out of thin air to fund World War I, and that's how it was done. But there was a massive movement towards, we must get this war, and when you look at the reasons for World War I, it was all manufactured. Every single bit of that was manufactured. Archduke Ferdinand was massacred by a guy called Gavril Princip, who was a member of what's called the Black Hand, which was it's a Masonic organisation, but the Masons are involved. There's no Freemasons here, and I'm insulting anybody. But it was a Masonic-driven thing. Again, it's far, far too complex to go into detail with, but it was all planned, it was all pre-planned, and the whole sequence of events leading up to World War I was manufactured, just as it was in World War II, and any other war that you care to mention. They're all artificially pre-planned, yeah. Again, you know, if you want, it's all covered in there, and it's all covered in there as well. And, you know, with not just speculation, but with evidence too, so. Again, like I say, it's a whole other presentation, is that one.
I think I need a vodka now.
I think we all do, don't we?
Can I have one as well, please?
Has anybody got any more questions for John, please? Okay, well, I'd just like to say a huge thank you, John, for coming along this afternoon and, you know, taking up your time to bring us this information, because people like John, thankfully, exist in this world to pull apart these stories that we fed through the press. I stopped reading the newspapers about 3-4 years ago and realised that, you know, television and the media were just feeding us a load of lies, really, and they expect us to believe that on a daily basis. I sincerely hope that the distribution of newspapers has gone down dramatically over the last kind of 10 years. Not only for the fact that they're feeding us false information, but for the fact that we're saving a few trees as well, because I think they're far more important, you know, than the kind of rubbish that they send out and make us believe. So the blood, sweat and tears that goes into this stuff, I have absolutely no idea, but I'm sure there'll be plenty of that, John. And these, please do, you know, he keeps saying he's, oh, you know, about buying his books, please buy his books, you know, because this information is what we need to hear, you know, and it kind of helps us to start to think a little bit about how these people do, you know, run our lives. And when you start going down the rabbit hole, it's like that Alice in Wonderland thing, how far do you want to go down the rabbit hole, really, you know, but it kind of gets a bit addictive as well, and I'm sure John will agree that once you get a kind of feel for that, you just want to find out more and you want to find out more, you know. There's a lot of rubbish out there, definitely. You go on YouTube or, you know, wherever, you've really got to kind of sift out the good from the bad. But I'm pretty sure that what John's kind of spoken about this afternoon is very, very good evidence to suggest that, you know, there is something not right with that official storyline, and the way that he's put it together has been absolutely superb. So can I just say, just put your hands together once again for John. And Before we close off, just say thank you to you all for coming. It's very much appreciated. You come along and support our centre and support people like John, that we can continue to do this work and get these things out there. There are other events coming up, as I mentioned before. We also do a newsletter if you're interested in finding out more about the centre and what we do. We've got a little book next door if you want to just leave us with your email address. We probably. We promise we won't spam you, by the way. But we do a weekly newsletter to help you to keep kind of in touch with what we do. If you can come along again to see us at any time, you'll be more than welcome. But other than that, thank you once again. Have a safe journey home, and hopefully we will see you again sometime soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, yes, you can.